everybody, it's jrobi on day 3 of Chess Canada's 2014. We had a spectacular collapse in the day's only win. Let's take a look at now at Mamadara versus the assassin Anand. Anand's playing black, Mamadara's playing white. White opens up with queen's pawn to d4, and we get into basically a Slav defense structure here when Anand plays pawn up now to c6, protecting the pawn on d5, so it's queen gambits decline. White now develops the knight to f3, and Anand brings the knight to f6. From here now, queen comes to c2. Anand takes a pawn now on c4. White recaptures, and Anand develops a bishop now to g4, attacking the knight. From here now, white develops the knight to d2, and Anand brings the knight up now to d7. So very equal position in this setup here. From here now, g3 is played, getting ready to fianchetto that light square bishop. Anand responds now by pushing the pawn up to e6, getting ready to develop his bishop on f8. White does fianchetto. Black now develops a bishop to e7, and white now brings the knight down aggressively now to e5, attacking the bishop there on g4 and also the knight on d7. And then just retreats the bishop to h5, doesn't want to mess up his structure here close to the king. White now takes that knight. Black recaptures with the knight, and now white castles and black castles. So in this setup here, we're extremely equal. It's going to be a good fighting game for both players moving forward. Play continues now. White brings the knight up to b3. And then now pushes his pawn up to a5, saying he doesn't want anything to do with any action on the a file. So he's opened up access for that rook to defend those squares. From here now, white pushes the pawn up to a4, and we've got virtually locked down h file now. From here now, Anand plays the bishop up now to b4. Very nice square for the bishop, and there is no pawns on the c file or the a file to kick that bishop. So if white wants to take that bishop, it's going to either have to trade off the bishops, or it's going to have to use a knight to get that bishop off of the perch there on b4. From here now, white thrusts the pawn forward to e4, grabbing a lot of central squares, basically proclaiming that it wants the center. From here now, Anand says, I don't think so. Pushes the pawn up to e5, attacking the pawn there on d4. White does not capture immediately, instead develops a bishop to e3, at which point Anand now captures into the center of the board, taking on d4. White recaptures with the bishop, and we have a very nice setup here for both players. We have connected pawn islands on both sides of the board. There's no isolated pawns, there's no double pawns. This position is pretty much dead equal. It's going to be a good fighting game from this point forward. From here now, Anand puts the king there onto h8, and white now brings that pawn down closer towards promotion there by pushing to e5. And then now swings the rook over to e8, so we've got two attackers on the pawn. White needs to do something about that. White's decision is to push the pawn up now to f4, giving the pawn another defender. Also in the process, though, it should be noted that this type of move creates a weakness here on f2. From this position now, Anand pushes the pawn up to f6, so he's trying to chip away at that pawn island here of white's. White takes, Anand recaptures with the knight on f6, and from here now, white brings the bishop up now to f3, offering up a light square bishop trade. Anand obliges, takes the bishop, white recaptures with the rook, and now Anand swings the rook up now to e4, pinning that bishop down temporarily to the queen on c4. White's response to this is to swing the rook over now to e3, attacking that rook, and then trades the rooks off the board, and from here now attacks the bishop on e3. From this position, white brings the bishop down now to b6. Nice little square for the bishop. It's also attacking the pawn on a5. From here now, Anand swings the queen up to a more active square on h5, giving the queen access along this light square diagonal, also bearing the queen's influence down on the h file. From here now, white brings the bishop back now to d4, attacking the knight there on f6, and Anand swings the rook over now to e8. And from here, we have a big positional mistake from white. White plays rook over now to f1, and let's just take a look at the board for a minute. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can find a very, very strong move in this position, and think back to what we talked about on the pawn island here for white. Well, Anand finds knight to g4, and this is obviously a very strong move because it's threatening checkmate here on h2 first of all. But now that white's brought that rook over to f1, it can't lift that rook up to help defend the pawn on h2. Otherwise, the knight just captures the rook. So this was a very, very bad move in this position because now white has to slide the queen back to c2 to defend the checkmate and also to give basically another defender here on the f2 square. From this position, though, white has some really good moves. White pushes the pawn up now to c5, attacking the dark square bishop on d4. White captures. Black now swings the rook over to c8. So nothing's changed on this side of the board. This knight and queen are still threatening checkmate here. This queen has to protect against that. This rook can't do anything. So it's a very, very uncomfortable position for white here. Anyway, play continues now. Rook slides over to d1. Black does take the knight here on c5. White recaptures, and now black gives its king an escape square, playing pawn up to h6. From here now, another mistake is made, unfortunately. Mamadera puts the king onto h1. Obviously, there's a forking square here, but there's another risk in this position. Take a moment, go ahead, pause the video, see if you can find it. I'm going to remove this little marker here on this square. But basically, unfortunately, this opens up this beautiful move. Knight over to e3, forking the rook and the queen. And there's no good options here. For example, if bishop takes, well, the queen just drops, so that's not a good one. And the best move here is queen to d2, at which point now, though, queen just takes a rook with check on d1. Queen recaptures, and then the queen drops off the board, and white is hopelessly lost in this position. However, these guys are top level players. We didn't let it get to that point, so simply after king to h1, that's when the game ended. So definitely a couple of big mistakes from Mamadera today, and you can't do that with Anand. Anand is he'll just assassinate you on the board. You give him any kind of tactical opportunities or any openings, and he is all over it. So anyway, that's about the only big news here for day 3. Looking forward to covering day 4. I believe they have a day off tomorrow, so we will see you next video.